Welcome to this week's Star Wars Rebels review. This week it's episode 14, The Call. Stay tuned for this one, because it's a good one. Okay, so in this episode, the crew of the Ghost are in search for fuel. They're low on fuel, they need to get fuel for their squadron, and so they're looking for a fuel refinery out in the middle of space, and what they're trying to do is hijack a shipment of fuel that is going to the Empire. So the episode opens up, and they're way powered down on the ship, and everybody's cold, and they're diverting power just to stay afloat. And then they encounter something pretty interesting floating through space, and I can't remember exactly what they're called, so I'm just calling them space whale squid dealies. So Ezra is the first to discover these space whale squid dealies because he hears them, and nobody else hears them, and he hears them, so he obviously has a connection with these creatures. And he's shown a tendency of this in past episodes, where he's got this connection with certain animals. He had a connection with the Lothal cat, or the Loth cat, I can't remember what they call him, but back on his home planet, and now these creatures. And so he convinces the crew, along with Kanan, not to shoot the space whale squid dealies, but rather to turn the ship around and flow with them. And that turns out to be an excellent plan, because for one, the whales lead them right to the refinery where they can pick up the fuel, and two, they come in handy a little bit later on in the episode where they kind of save the day. They definitely save Ezra, and they wouldn't have been successful had it not been for the space whale squid dealies. A couple of cool things to point out in this episode. So the mining guild has some modified TIE fighters that looked pretty cool. So they didn't have a full hexagonal wings on both sides. They had a slit cut out of them, which was kind of cool. And they were yellow. So they looked pretty neat flying through space and getting blown up, by the way. The other cool thing to talk about in this episode were the space whale squid dealies. They're actually eating the gas and the fuel, and they use that to actually travel through hyperspace. Tying back a little bit to the origins of hyperspace, the old pilots would talk about the space whale squiddy deals, and how they are actually the inspiration for hyperspace, and that's why in the Star Wars universe they started traveling through hyperspace. So towards the end of the episode, it actually shows these creatures shooting off into hyperspace, which we've never seen this before. So add that to the list of stuff getting added to canon from Star Wars Rebels. The use of the Force was really cool. So Kanan, Sabine, and Ezra all jump out of the ship in the atmosphere and fly down to this asteroid where the mining guild is refining this fuel. And Sabine, she's got the luxury of having Chopper to bring her down slowly onto the platform. But Kanan uses the Force. When he gets real close, he goes, wachoo, wapa, and he rolls and does this little flippy deal. And he used the Force to slow him down enough so that he could land. So I thought that was interesting. Now Ezra is going to need a little bit of extra training using this, because he wasn't able to stop. And Ezra, while he was falling, Kanan needed to reach out and grab him with the Force and bring him up. I did like this episode. I thought it was actually kind of fun, and I like to see how Ezra's growing and his connection with these creatures, and he's always wanting to do good. And that's interesting, because I've always had him pegged for a character who might turn to the dark side down the road. But he hasn't shown that for a while, actually, throughout the series. He's been the level-headed one. He's been the one that is doing the right thing. He's helping people. So this definitely has, has me changing my mind and thinking twice about whether he might turn to the dark side or not. We'll see. In later episodes, he's obviously in some old Sith temples. He's looking at Sith holocrons. What does this mean for him? I don't know, but I'm interested to find out. So all in all, though, did like this episode. I'm probably going to give it a rating of about a 7.5. Alright, that's the episode for this week. Continue to tune in. I'd like to see you guys subscribing by clicking the button below. Leave me a comment. Let's get the conversation going here. Let's talk about Rebels and see where it goes. Real interested to hear what your guys' ideas are. What do you think about Ezra? Do you think he'll turn to the dark side? Tell me what you think. And as always, stay tuned for the next episode.